What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Average Joe's X's and O's podcast. And it is just me solo dolo today because Nick has officially caught the vid. And, he's struggling a little bit, but, not like deathly sick, but, just typical cold type stuff. So figured I'd hop on and just go over a couple things that have happened over the last week. Originally we were going to talk about the Senior Bowl, but neither of us even got to watch the thing. I couldn't even have access to the game itself. But there's a couple things. I'll really just one main thing. I'll touch on that because really it's kind of. I still think at the end of the day, in that like they weren't even tackling to the ground from what I saw. Maybe that was a practice. I don't really know, but it sounds like it's still probably hard to kind of, judge how good people really were doing or will do going on in the future. So before I get there, let's see here. Oh, so listen, I tried to post a clip last week on our TikTok page, which by the way is at AJXO pod. Same thing with Twitter. Feel free to follow. And I got fucking hit with a code of conduct and they muted my shit. Now, maybe I called someone the R word. And then, I did say that for 25, 30 years, the Browns, basically spoke to the judge to put it in a PG form, I guess you could say. And they didn't like that, even though both are pretty factually true. So, people hate the R word, man, and I didn't even I said retard. So, it wasn't even like a hard R, you feel me? But yeah, TikTok, eat my ass. So that's the thing that blows my fucking mind about TikTok is like you scroll on your page and, you got all these fucking chicks that are fucking half-ass naked, dancing, doing their fucking thing, which is cool. I guess apparently TikTok thinks it's okay, even if you're fucking under 18. But I throw some jokes out there and I get censored. So a little salty. So TikTok, go fuck yourself. Let's see here. Speaking of the Senior Bowl, I'll just touch on this because I think it's always impressive. Nick probably could say the same thing. Playing at the Division III level. I can't remember. I remember playing Mount Union, but the other top school that usually would beat Mount Union for state there for a minute was Whitewater or Wisconsin Whitewater, and they have an offensive guard by the name of Quinn Miners, I believe is how you pronounce it. Not sure, but this dude was out there rocking his fucking belly shirt and serving out fucking pancakes. It looked like all day. So, for a D3 guy to be invited to the Senior Bowl and put on a show like that and stick out is always impressive. So I'm going to keep an eye on him and see, if or when he gets drafted because, always root for those little like D3 guys. The last person I can really remember who came from either Mount Union or that school to play in the league, I think was, where's Ty Hilton from? T.Y. Hilton. Was it him? I'd have to look it up. There was a receiver that played at Mount Union, and I'm drawing a blank. And he played for a little bit, but I'm sure there's more, but I don't have that info off the top of my head right now. But yeah, so I want to keep an eye on that and kind of just keep an eye on what's going on. I haven't. I just threw some fucking notes together, so I'm kind of winging it here. I haven't really done much research, but Nick and I talked about how the combine is going to be a little different this year. It sounds like it's going to be on pro days a lot of the time, and it sounds like they're going to be having some kind of content for that, and I think it'll be pretty interesting doing it that way. Each school will kind of get highlighted, and maybe there's some other guys there that normally wouldn't go to the combine that might stick out. So from a recruiting standpoint, I feel like it could be just interesting to see how this has to evolve due to the COVID situation. So, because, the combine's a big event And then, even though we're about 2 months away or so from the actual draft that's supposed to be in Cleveland, Ohio this year, I don't know what the update is with that. What if people are going to be allowed to go, or like full capacity or half capacity or whatever that is. So that's another thing to keep an eye on too. But even if you're not from Cleveland, like you'd probably want to hit that up, because I feel like it would be a crazy event. Football town, Hall of Fame's right down the road, 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes, and it'll probably be a good time. Let's see here before we get to the juiciness. The NFL. Where do I want to start here? We're going to get to that freaking crazy trade that happened over the last week, which is fucking just, it blew my mind. The newest thing though right now is we got what's being called the haircut gate. If you live under a rock, you would hear that apparently the barber for the Kansas City Chiefs that was cutting like 20 players' hair tested positive for COVID, and they had to yank him out in the middle of haircuts to quarantine him. So we'll see how this plays out, man. And that'd be some shit if Mahomes or some of these other top guys got COVID before the Super Bowl, and then everybody will hate Tom Brady for it, which would be pretty funny, especially Nick, especially if they win. So I just think it's kind of funny that this thing's going on. So of course it is. Of course there's a storyline like this, and it might not even be anything, but I just thought it was kind of funny that now we're rolling with the haircut gate potentially. So figured I'd shine some light on that. And I'd say, let's just fucking dive into, before we get to the big trade, God, the rumors, so speaking of the TikTok video, I put out a video that was basically just going on a rant about the Browns. If you didn't listen to last week's podcast, there's so many Browns fans, and I was kind of shitting on the Browns media, not like the Browns media, but like the people that just cover the Browns for other, I don't know if they work for whatever, they're journalists and they cover the Browns, and every single one of them, for the most part, two in particular, three really, but two, the people that have been there for a long ass time seem to be super negative, and they always ask dumb questions, and they just post all this dumb shit. I'm talking about Mary Kay Cabot and Tony Grossi, which I don't know why anybody pays for their shit, because I think it's fucking garbage. But anywho, they need some new blood in there, because all these people talk about is, these trade scenarios, like, oh, we should trade OBJ and we should trade Jarvis Landry and we should, and I keep talking about this because it just blows my mind. And then like the Deshaun Watson rumors, and Baker kind of clapped back at that. Some Browns fans saying that they should get Watson, and it's just crazy, man. It's crazy it's even a talking point. And, I think journalism at all levels, even if it's just sport or regular journalism, has kind of gone off the rails a little bit, because it used to be all about credibility, but nowadays it's like it doesn't seem like anybody has to have any credibility. You can just write whatever the hell you want, and it just doesn't really make any sense to me. We were literally coming off a season where the Browns finished 11-5, and Baker Mayfield balled out, especially the second half of the year, and proved that he can play, not only in the NFL, but be the guy for the Browns. And I questioned that early in the season, those first couple of games. I think we had to just give him time to get used to that offense. First year, no traditional off season. You can, and the OBJ thing, like I said numerous times, you can make the argument that, the Browns got better when OBJ got hurt, but really I just think it was Baker understanding the offense and being more comfortable in it, not having to force the ball to OBJ. And, the Browns could have used him against Kansas City. Absolutely. They could have used him against fucking Baltimore the second time. He's a talent on the field, and you have to play for him no matter what. So I just think it's asinine to even talk about it. And like the only way that I would be cool with trading OBJ from a business perspective is if you get a huge need, and a huge need for the Browns is another rush end opposite of Myles Garrett. The problem is there are not a ton of them that are around, and they're rush ends that are really good, like your Chase Youngs, your Myles Garrett, and your Bosa brothers, is finding. First of all, those dudes usually get drafted to be a building block of a team that's not so good. So they're probably getting drafted within the first, 5 picks of an NFL draft, right? If there is one, which I don't even know if there is a crazy edge rusher this year. I'm not familiar with it. So for some team to give up an edge rusher that's elite for a receiver, I just don't think it happens, because it's such a big piece they'd be giving up of their team, even though they're getting OBJ in return. So I don't think that happens. Same thing with linebacker. I do think the Browns need some linebackers, depth anyway, maybe some more veterans in there. But yeah, even then, I don't know if I'd want it, because I feel like OBJ is still a big asset to the offense, and I think he could come back next year off that ACL injury and get back to form. I mean, who knows if we even make the playoffs without him? If it wasn't for him, we lose the Dallas game. He balled out in the first Cincinnati game, I believe. So yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees that we lost the playoffs, or not even made the playoffs, if he didn't contribute in some of those early games. So we just need to stop talking about this shit, And then the Watson stuff is just crazy, because what are you going to do? Cleveland going to give up 3 first-round picks over the next 3 years for Watson? That wasn't their problem this year. Their problem was the secondary on defense, and the linebackers. Like I said, I think it was all defensive problems that we had. And granted, there were, between Ward being in and out and Greedy not playing and Delpa being out, the starting secondary was never stepped foot on the field ever, the whole season. So I think it could be a quick fix in one off season, really focusing on the defensive side, and looking at the offensive line, how well they did. You could always get some depth there, just because injuries happen, right? So, yeah, I just think the rumors are crazy, and the whole Watson situation is just crazy in general. You got people saying that he's going to go to the Jets, and then there's the 49ers are popping up to be a favorite, and it's all these rumors, and we don't really know. It's just, I don't really know how the contracts work. You can say, oh, he has a no trade clause, but I feel like we've seen that before where people get out of it. So clearly it can be worked around. But I know if he sits out, each day that passes during the season, there's a lot of fines that come with it. So I don't know what is going to go down. The team that goes after him is probably going to have to give up a lot, especially since this trade that just happened with the Lions and the Rams. I don't even know where to start. First of all, the trade I think is great for the Lions. I think they will want it for sure. The Rams, unless they think that they're a quarterback away from winning, Goff was kind of inconsistent this year, I guess. And I think Stafford is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Doesn't get a lot of love because they could never really put it together. But he never really got pieces around him either, I don't think. Once Megatron retired, and the dude's just fucking tough, dude. That video was surfacing around where he broke his collarbone or something, and he came in the play later, threw a touchdown pass, couldn't even move his fucking arm. He's had the back surgeries, I think. Dude's tough, right? I think he's better than Goff. I do. However, I don't even know how old Stafford is, but however, the Rams gave up a 2021 third-round pick, a 2022 and 23 first-round pick in Goff to get Stafford. Man, it's that's a lot. And so you got Ramsey, you got Darnold. I don't know if they've paid them already, but I feel like it's going to be hard for them to keep that team together because they got some all-stars on there. So, unless they're thinking hey, we're in a window now and we need to make this move to get back to the Super Bowl and potentially win. So, but even with that said, man, what if Stafford was given 2 first-round picks over 2 years and a third-rounder plus their quarterback? What is the team that's going to potentially trade for Deshaun Watson. Like, what are they going to give up? Like, let's just say you're Detroit, right? And you give up the second overall, like you're going to give up 3 first rounders over the next 3 years. Like, that's a lot, especially a team that needs to add some pieces. Like, the NFL draft is probably, there's a lot of busts in the first round, I guess you could say. And some people pan out that are drafted in later rounds. But those first round picks are a little bit more valuable than other sports like the NBA lottery and baseball. So what's the team going to give up? Especially like that. Like if you're the Jets, you need some pieces there. Like you need to beef up that offensive line, regardless of who's playing quarterback. And does Watson really want to go to a team that's kind of similar to Houston in terms of talent? I don't know. I mean, he's already getting paid money, and obviously that's not making him happy enough, which shouldn't, freaking Houston's, who knows? Like, obviously I'm not an owner or GM, but I mean, dude, some of the shit they've done, between getting rid of Hopkins for nothing, and just getting rid of everybody, it just doesn't seem. Everything just seemed odd. Like they haven't really helped Deshaun. Even when Deshaun Watson came into the league, I don't know if people remember, he was balling out, but man, he was running around for his life. That offensive line was never built up for him. So I could see where the frustration comes from him, and because he's good, dude. He's a fucking baller. I don't want Cleveland to get him as a Browns fan because I don't think it's our problem. We don't need him. Is he better than Baker Mayfield? He's probably the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. It's better than a lot of people, a lot of quarterbacks. That's not a knock on Baker Mayfield. Also, he's played a year longer than him. I mean, we'll see what happens next year with Baker. I think he'll be even better. So, but their stats this year are very not far off, actually. But yeah, I just want to know, like, the team that decides they want to trade for Watson, like, what are they going to give up? Well, Will Urban Meyer like give up his first round pick to take to Houston so they could draft Watson? I don't know. I mean, if they're going to take a quarterback anyway, it's something to really think about. But they're a team that's got to build too. I mean, they got some pieces in place over there in Jacksonville. I haven't really seen anybody talk about Jacksonville. But would you rather have Deshaun Watson coming in with the experience he has and link him up with DJ Shark? Or would you want to bring in Trevor Lawrence, who, you could say is probably going to be the future and going to be pretty good. But still, there's always a little unknown with rookie quarterbacks. So what are you going to do? Potentially, I think they could probably do it. I don't know what the 49ers have to give up, but, I mean, they're saying 3 first rounders, and that's a lot, dude. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess it just depends on a team that's willing to risk not having their first round picks. But then you could say, oh, well, the Patriots didn't have a first round pick in basically fucking 20 years until they drafted Sony Michel a couple years ago. That was the first one they've had. But they were still winning championships and shit. So, I guess it just comes down if a team can evaluate talent really well and find these guys in the later rounds, and, they could survive by giving up those picks. But it's going to be very interesting. But that trade between the Rams and the Lions definitely set the standard for whatever Deshaun Watson would get traded for. And I'm interested to see how this keeps going. Because something's got to happen soon. Like, unless they wait till the draft, I don't know. I feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen soon. But if Houston, which they shouldn't want to get rid of Watson, like, I don't know what's going to go on there, but they kind of butchered the head coaching situation. So I just think the bridge is burnt. If you're the Houston organization, then I think you kind of just gotta get what you can get as far as picks go, and just maybe let it happen and start over. Because what's his face? I had to draw a blank on the coach that got fired this year, but he fucked it up, man. He fucked it up. So we will see what happens with that. I know another rumor was J.J. Watt being traded. I thought he was a free agent this year. I'd have to look that up too. I can't remember. But even if he's not, even if he's got like a year left on contract, whatever, and the rumors was he wanted to go to a contender, and then like there's rumors that he wants to play with his brothers. The Steelers just really hope don't happen. But then he's also kind of linked to Cleveland, right? And I had some conversations today about J.J. Watt coming to Cleveland, and one buddy was saying that he thinks that he's still good, or I think he said elite. I don't think J.J. Watt's elite like what he was. Those first few years when he was the defensive player of the year and stuff. But he played a full season this year. Yes, he's getting older, but I think he would fit very well in with Cleveland, being opposite of Myles Garrett. I think, there's no pressure on him to be what he was in those years. But I think he could still play at a high level to the point where like he'll get he'll get to the quarterback whenever Myles can't, or, they don't call, which happens every fucking play, whether they don't call a holding call on Myles Garrett. I think it could definitely help and add some depth because, the Browns also have that kid coming back who they got from Miami. I think Nick and I talked about, I think he played at Boise State, I believe. He kind of balled out his junior year of college, was one of the top edge rushers and was injured so far during his NFL career. And the Browns got him off of Miami this past season. So that would add some depth as well. So I'd be all for the J.J. Watt thing. I don't think you'd have to pay him a ton of money. I'm not sure how that works. But we'll see what happens. And then, God, this whole quarterback thing has been just insane this week. And then it came out. Speaking of other trades, it just popped in my head. I'm fucking just ranting today, but hey, it's what I do. Derek Carr supposedly on the trading block for the Raiders. So they might also be a contender for Watson. Again, I don't know. Going into this past season, I think people question Carr a lot. And even when he got hurt that game where Mariota came in, I thought Mariota looked pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another shot to start somewhere as well. At some point, he's still on the Raiders, I'd imagine. I don't know if anybody is going to pick him up or not. But that would also be an interesting mix for them. They got, the Raiders are built. They got some stud receivers. Oh, excuse me. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting situation to keep an eye on. I know everybody is like rumored, like the Dak Prescott thing. Like some people think that he's not going to be with the Cowboys, but I feel like that's kind of dumb. The Cowboys receiving core is absolutely one of the best in the league for sure. I don't know why Dak would want to leave that. I know he wants more money, but I think they'll be a lot better this year, especially offensively. Offensively, I think they'll be all right. It's that defense which they got a new coordinator in there, so I think that'll actually fix a lot of the Dallas Cowboys problems, and I think they'll rebound next year and be at least like an 8-8 team, or maybe fight for the playoffs. Since that division's so shitty, they should be able to rebound in a year and probably win the division, I would imagine. But still, all this stuff is rumors to keep an eye on. It's just this QB carousel has just been just crazy thing to watch so far this year already in this offseason. So, yeah, man, it's crazy, but I kind of buy into it. It gives us something to do during this offseason, and I just can't wait to sit back and see. It's just weird being a Browns fan and sitting back going into this draft. We had it last year kind of, but like going into this draft where we're picking in the later rounds and it's like, oh, well, we need some defensive players, but like, before that was our Super Bowl, right? Like we'd wait all the fucking time until draft day, but who we get, and usually it's quarterback. And, but this year it's like a very mellow, it's like, yeah, it's all right. It doesn't really matter too much, So it's just kind of an interesting change of events. This is what it feels like to have a decent team, right? Apparently, if you're a normal fan of a team that's good, so it's kind of cool to kind of shift that a little bit and get to feel that. By the way, I'm going to address this since Nick's not here. Sticking up for the Bills a little bit because there was also rumors about Watson going to. I'm all over the fucking place with this Watson thing, but going to Buffalo, I know Nick Wright is like he's to the Bills what Colin Cowherd is to the Browns. Like he shits on the Bills so hard. It's funny. I get it's entertaining. I'm sure other fans with Cowherd think it's entertaining whenever he shits on the Browns. But it's interesting just because both teams were good this year, right? So I don't know. I mean, Nick Wright seems to think that the Bills won't be back to the playoffs next year. That'll be interesting. It's an interesting claim. And you could see Miami maybe fighting there, and I expect the Patriots to rebound a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but basically he was, I think, talking about like, he's like, if you're a Bills fan or organization, like you would take Watson over Josh Allen. And like, I don't know, man. I think Josh Allen is built for the weather in Buffalo. I mean, there's no guarantee. We don't really know if Watson's a cold weather QB. He doesn't really play in snow. Even when he played for Clemson, like they weren't playing in the cold. It's a different fucking game, dude. Like for those of you who never played ball in the Midwest, never played in some snow, it's I think it's fun. But yeah, you got to be a certain kind of dude, and obviously Brady was that dude for most of his career. Breeze always played in a dome or played in San Diego. So I don't know. It's just crazy to see all the debates back and forth. But dude, Josh Allen improved. He's like the first quarterback to come out of college with a really bad completion or accuracy, and I thought he had a low completion percentage. I could be wrong there. And then go into the NFL and improve by year 3 and change all those things. So I think it's pretty impressive what he's done. And I'm not going to knock him for that. And again, this show, I try not to shit on athletes because, it's fucking hard. I was actually, speaking of, I was talking to a guy at my gym now who's new. He never made a team, but he played for some, he was at OTAs, I think, for 3 teams, Kansas City being one of them. I thought he said Cardinals. I can't remember. And somebody else. I think he was a tight end. Big fucking guy, right? And, I was just talking to him, kind of getting a player's perspective on the NFL and what it's like, just even getting there at that point. And he just said, man, like the best players on the field most of the times are just the ones that are the most healthiest, right? Everybody's physically gifted. I'm sure we've talked about this before. But the mental side of it is completely different in terms of the playbook. I mean, he was even saying for OTAs, it's like, you're having like 8 practices within like 3 days. So, you spend most of the time off just healing your body with all the modalities, the physical therapy stuff there. Just trying to rest up for the next practice, and then you got to learn the playbook too. So very cutthroat, very, it's just very stressful, man. And like, he couldn't stay healthy, had a hamstring issues. And, at that point, it's like kind of takes you start to lose the fun a little bit, it sounds like. So yeah, people don't understand how hard it is to play this game, man, at the professional level. It's work. It's tough. These dudes put their bodies through hell. And, yeah, man, but that's why, I'd like to get that perspective. And he said this, Nick and I talked about this last week. He said that I brought it up to him. He said the exact same thing. He's like, you don't understand how athletic these dudes are. Because I brought up the thing that Nick and I were talking about last week regarding Aaron Rodgers and how people were bitching saying he could have ran for the touchdown there towards the end of the game. And I brought up the linebackers like Nick and I were talking about. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, it's hard to see on TV and like the speed at what those guys play. He's like, you don't understand how much ground they can cover and how fast they cover it. He's like, it's a whole nother level, you know. He's like, but when you're watching the game, you can't look at it and be like, oh, he should be able to get in there, because it's so much different when you're on the field. And that's exactly what Nick and I were kind of saying, you know. Like, I didn't want to sit there and shit on Aaron Rodgers because he didn't run it in for a touchdown. He probably didn't see it. I mean, these plays are happening like split in seconds, and you know, he's not Lamar Jackson. So yeah, he's mobile, but I don't think he was going to outrun those linebackers who were right on the goal line, who could have taken an angle with their speed and tackle him, potentially injure him, and who knows what would have happened. So just pointing that out there, you know, like to stick up for athletes. Now there's a gray area, right? Now you can shit on an athlete if they're like that fucking guy who played for the Seahawks just came out, who beat the shit out of his chick, and you know, apparently almost killed her and was doing some weird shit. Yeah, fuck that guy. And that's a guy that you can talk shit about because he's kind of a piece of shit human being. So he'll probably never step foot in NFL locker room ever again, which he shouldn't. And yeah, lock him up, throw away the key. You feel me? But yeah, man, what a weird week. We got the Super Bowl this week. Can't wait. Kind of pumped to see it. I mentioned in the last podcast I will be watching it, but also streaming one of my favorite podcasts, Two Bears, One Cave. But in this special event, it's called Two Bears, One Sap. They got Warren Sapp in the studio, and it's going to be a shit show. It is going to be a shit show. It's going to be hilarious, and I cannot wait to watch that over the game, the big game. I'll listen to that while the game's on and mute the game because it'll be that entertaining. So anybody out there likes comedy, I would suggest getting Two Bears, One Sap. It's like $10 to rent, and I love that shit. So yeah, man, it's game week, last game of the season, the big game before we head into the true off season, even though we're already kind of there, and get rolling with the draft and all the draft talk. So Nick and I should be back next Thursday, recapping the game. And, I'm sure there's some news will happen by the time that we hop back on here next Thursday. So if you guys want to follow us, you can do that at AJXO Pod for Twitter and TikTok. And then individually, I am at Justin_Maxim. Nick is at BillsFan53, but the I am Bills is actually a 1. I know, confusing. So it's been sweet. And that's all we got for the day. So I'll talk with you guys later.